Welcome, Amalga-Maniacs. I am Taryn Barber, and this is Amalga-Gamia. In this episode, I'll be discussing The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which is available on Xbox One, PS4, and Microsoft Windows. It was released in 2015. Now, the tricky thing about reviewing The Witcher is that it is so incredibly massive. There is so much to this game. So I'll talk about basic gameplay, a little background on the story, and the things that I love the most about this game. So The Witcher takes place on in a country called the Continent. It doesn't have a formal name, it's just called the Continent. And currently there is a war between the Nilfgaardian Empire and the Redanians. So it's kind of like medieval England, but not quite, because there are goblins and ghouls and trolls and golems and witches and mages and elves and dwarves, as well as humans and witches and witchers. There is an entire bestiary of animals connected to this game. And like I said, the story is deep. So the book is, the game is based on a book by Andrzej Sapkowski, also called The Witcher. It's an entire series of books. I have a few of them. So the game is based on the story, which means that the story itself is incredibly detailed. In this game, you take on the persona of Geralt of Rivia, who is a witcher. It is a massive open world RPG, and you play as Geralt in third person. There are different points in the game where you also play as other characters, so sometimes you might be playing as Ciri, for example, during a flashback. Geralt has gone through extensive training. Children are, abandoned children. The children aren't necessarily chosen. They're kind of given to the witchers, and they're trained. Most of them die before they complete their training. Geralt is not one who died. So as a witcher, he has magical powers. He uses runes to cast spells. He uses potions. He's also trained to fight monsters. It's referred to in the game as mutations. So Geralt has all of these mutations that allow him to be successful against monsters. He also fights with 2 different swords, one for humans and one for the monsters he encounters. In this game, Geralt is looking for his adopted daughter, Ciri. Ciri has been trained as a witcher also, but she's also been trained by a love interest of Geralt, Yennefer of Vengerberg, who is a witch. So Ciri has more magical powers than a normal witcher would. In addition, she is from an ancient bloodline of elves, which gives her the power to transcend space and time. She can travel through different dimensions. So, in between The Witcher 2 and The Witcher 3, Ciri disappeared. In The Witcher 3, near the beginning of the game, Geralt is summoned by the Emperor Emhyr, who is the one who is invading Redania. So he's summoned by the Emperor Emhyr, who also happens to be Ciri's father. The Emperor tells Geralt that Ciri has been spotted, and from that point on, Geralt is looking for Ciri. Now, nobody gives away anything for free in The Witcher, so along Geralt's quest, he meets various characters who have information about Ciri because they've seen her, but they want something from Geralt in return. So you end up going on these main quest missions, which involve people who have spotted Ciri, but then there are also an absolute ton of side missions as well. The map for this game is incredibly massive, and each major city has its own look. Think Skyrim or Oblivion, something like that in terms of its open world nature, but the cities have even more of a distinction from each other. So I said before that it is based, or it appears like medieval England. I think most of the inspiration came from Poland because the author is Polish. So it's in that kind of time period. There aren't any cars. Geralt rides horses. There's no electricity, for example, so it takes place again in a kind of medieval timeline. Geralt has an extensive amount of knowledge about the creatures he's fighting and extensive amount of training. He is a master hand-to-hand combatant. He's a master with swords, master of magic, etc. But he has a weak spot for Yennefer of Vengerberg, who happens to be one of the initial characters he encounters in this game. I've never liked Yennefer. She treats him terribly, but he has a thing for her. That does not, however, keep him from his other love interests. So, Geralt is off looking for Ciri. On the way, he will have to fight all those creatures that I mentioned earlier. The ghouls, the golems, the hags, the witches, the trolls, etc. There is a incredibly rich backstory. So while Geralt is out looking for Ciri, you also encounter these invading armies. You run across battlefields. Sometimes your side missions call for you to look for soldiers that have gone missing. So you see the carnage of war. You also see things like citizens hanging from a tree. So you ride past quite a few hanged bodies in the game, and it is an attribution to the cruelty and the brutality of this particular time period. I mean, witches are literally being burned at the stake. In addition to the witches, there's a religious cult as well who is trying to persecute the witches in one of the cities, and the witches literally get burned. So as you are traveling through the world looking for Ciri, you run across all these other elements. While Geralt is searching for Ciri, Ciri is being chased by the Wild Hunt. And the really cool thing about the Wild Hunt is that it's based in actual folklore. I think the closest approximation to the Wild Hunt would be the Ringwraiths from Lord of the Rings. They are these ghostly figures. In this particular game, they're like the spirits of elves. They are skeletal and they wear this black armor, and wherever they go, everything around them freezes, and they tend to appear in different villages looking for Ciri. And you know that they were there because it'll be the middle of summer, but the ground is frozen. They ride on these black horses, and frost comes out of their mouths whenever they breathe. So the Wild Hunt is after Ciri, and Geralt is also looking for Ciri, and the goal is to get to her before the Wild Hunt does. Geralt, however, knows that the Wild Hunt is on Ciri's trail, so as he's tracking her, he runs into the Wild Hunt and has to fight them. In terms of the gameplay, Geralt is very highly customizable. He can wear just about any suit of armor that's been customized. You can buy suits of armor. You can make your own armor or clothes. You can make your own swords. So there's crafting, in which you would make the armor or the swords. There's also alchemy, which allows you to make potions and bombs. And you can also customize your weapons and your clothes by adding runes. In terms of leveling up, there are different branches. There's a lot of them, a lot of different branches, so you can decide to upgrade your fast attacks. Or different types of your magic. And there are mutagens which can enhance the levels and those powers. So as far as tips and tricks, I would say pick a path early. Decide what it is you want to level up and what it is you want to upgrade. And you can do that by doing some research beforehand, because if you just play the game and try to figure it out, by the time you decide what you want to do, you may have to start all over again, which is a plus about this game. If you decide that you want to go back and upgrade other attributes of the character, it's pretty easy to activate and deactivate different character qualities. There is also a level of morality to this game. In certain points, Geralt has to make a decision, and he only has a certain amount of time to reply. And based on the decision you make, the outcome of the game could change. There are 36 different endings to this game based on the decisions that you make as you're playing. So sometimes you'll think that you're doing something good, and then you find out that that good deed that you thought you were committing had absolutely horrible consequences, which I like because it's quite realistic. So Geralt, despite all of his many strengths and his weakness of Yennefer, is still being played through the persona of you. You speak for Geralt, you make his decisions, and that's one of the things that I absolutely love about this game. It is so immersive. I'm a fan of Skyrim. I'm a fan of Red Dead Redemption. I'm a fan of Fallout. I love Bethesda games in general, and this one reminds me of those. The graphics are absolutely beautiful. This game has won over 200 awards, in part for its graphics and its gameplay and its story. It's an incredibly rich, immersive experience that you can play for a very long time. There are 2 expansions that go along with the game as well. So if you play through the game and you want to play some more, you can get those expansions. Because it was released a few years ago, you can now get a Game of the Year edition that has the expansions included, which is the one that I have and am currently playing, I believe for the 2nd or 3rd time, because the game is just that good. Other side notes about the game, you can play Gwent, which is a really fun card game. It's not based on any card game that I am familiar with, but it's still really fun to play. It's quick to learn, and you can win money by playing it. You can also download the game Gwent, at least on PS4. You can download the game Gwent and just play the card game by itself, independent of the game. The card game mechanics are slightly different than playing it in-game, but it's still a really fun way to pass the time. So even though the game is based on Geralt's quest for Ciri and Ciri fleeing from the Wild Hunt, there are so many missions and so many side quests that you really get a sense of this world as a whole. It's almost like playing through a book in a sense. There's a library that you can read through. You have actual conversations with the NPCs. As I said, there's an element of morality where you have to make decisions. You have side quests to go around and kill monsters, and that's how you make your money to buy food or potions or the various items that you need. And throughout all of this, he's searching for Ciri. He runs into some of his old friends, characters from past games. He runs into past loves. It's like actually playing a character. He's so multi-dimensional that it makes it an absolute thrill to be him. It's like you're vicariously this badass swordsman who fights monsters in this medieval Europe type of world. Tips and tricks. My biggest tip for you if you're playing The Witcher is to dodge. Dodge often, dodge frequently, dodge as much as you can. Do not let yourself get hit. Not because the creatures are so powerful they can kill you in one swipe, but sometimes you'll find yourself surrounded by an entire horde of water hags, for example, where they just have you surrounded and they're all trying to hit you. So your best recourse is to dodge and get out of the way, and be strategic when you strike. That also comes in handy when you're fighting bigger creatures like the Golem, who can kill you with a few strokes. So you're dodging his blows because it takes a lot of hits to kill him. So he hits you a few times and you die, but you have to hit him dozens of times before he's taken down. So make sure that you are dodging. Like I said before, make sure that you choose your path early in terms of leveling up. Explore. Explore. There are a lot of question marks on the map. As you explore cities, the different icons will appear on the map. Question marks show locations that have appeared. Sometimes I abandon the main quest and the side quests from the notice boards in the cities and just go out towards these different question marks on the map to find out what's going on in those areas. You can swim, you can sail on a boat to different places like the Skellige Islands, for example, which is reminiscent of the Vikings. You can ride your horse or you can just run, so there are different methods of travel as well. This game is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I'm breathless talking about it. If you have not checked out The Witcher 3, but you like RPGs, if you like Oblivion, if you like Skyrim, if you like Fallout, I think you'll definitely enjoy this game, even though it takes place in a different time period. The massive open world experience of this game makes it definitely worth trying out. If you've played The Witcher, let me know down in the comments. If you haven't, let me know if you're tempted to play now. Thank you so very much for watching. If you have any ideas of other games you want to see us play and feature here on Amalga-Mania, let me know. Thanks for watching and take care.